Hi, welcome to our presentation for the Community Sports Development module. We're looking at tackling sporting opportunities for parents in the Blackpool area, so we'll work alongside Blackpool Community Trust. Unfortunately, Selena Hayes can't be here today, so we're going to present it to her and send her the link once we've completed the presentation. So firstly, a little introduction of what we're going to cover. During this presentation, we'll be discussing an overview of the project and the issue. We'll be looking at the local and national and understanding how Blackpool Community Trust work fits in with both locally and nationally. We'll be looking at the health considerations, the barriers that parents face. We've collected some primary and secondary research, and we're going to evaluate those research results, and then we're going to come up with some recommendations at the end. So firstly, an overview of this project. We are investigating the background of the barriers affecting participation levels of parents in sport. The specific areas we aim to target were: do parents actually want to engage in sport? Are there any barriers which are stopping them? And can we as a community trust at Blackpool use our resources and skills to assist parents? So an understanding of Blackpool and the community. The resident population of Blackpool is approximately 139,000. And approximately 30,000 of them will be parents aged between 15 and 50 years old. However, Blackpool FC don't currently run any programmes specifically for parents. What do Blackpool FC actually do? So they look at health and education courses. Blackpool work very closely with primary schools, high schools and colleges in the Blackpool area on the Fylde Coast to deliver education and health-based projects. They have inclusion, so the Trust offers a range of activities to get target audience that would not normally participate involved in regular physical activities, so that can range from disabilities or elderly people doing walking football and targeting women and girls. They also work as a community team to provide opportunities for people in the community to engage in fun, structured sessions that will inspire and motivate and develop citizenship skills through sport, physical activity and social action projects. So they also work with national strategies such as the Fit to Go. Fit to Go aims to encourage children to live a healthy lifestyle and is currently being delivered to every primary school in Blackpool. They take part in regular physical activity and join in with local sport clubs and community programmes which will ultimately improve their overall health and well-being. They also work with a national strategy for the BTEC education, so students get the opportunity to study at a full-time football club in a unique setting. The education courses offer BTEC level 2s in sports coaching, fitness and development and football academy, with the level 3 extended diploma being equivalent to 3A levels. So they also have work alongside the national strategy, which in 2015, where Cameron explained that the new strategy for sport and physical activity moves beyond looking at how many people take part. It considered what people gain by participating and what more can be done to make physical active life truly transformative, which would be help tackles issues such as obesity, which Blackpool look to target, so that fits in with the national policy. They also have a strategy in place locally in Blackpool, which is trying to develop the playing facilities in Blackpool. So it's called Playing Pitch Strategy in 2016. So they understand that playing fields make a major contribution to urban life by providing space for competitive sport, informal physical activity and social interaction involving families, children and others. So this links in with the council strategy, which is known as Sport and Physical Activity Strategy in 2013, which runs till 2018. This identifies a need for the provision and development of high quality and accessible facilities for sport and physical activity, as well as an urban environment that supports daily activities, lifestyles. So as relating this strategy to Blackpool and the community, we understand that Blackpool currently don't have their own set facility when running like summer camps or activities after school, so they have to rent or go to different places, which we had to take into consideration when coming up with our consultancy project. So now George will be discussing the health considerations and barriers facing for parents.
So it's important to understand and to justify why it's important that parents get involved in sport and physical activity. So parent physical activity is aimed at parents, but very still much involves children. The safety and safeguarding of children is still the highest priority. Blackpool FC's safeguarding policy clearly states its aims to safeguard children and vulnerable adults. Processes are outlined in the case of any event of mistreatment with contacts and directions in place. With the correct safeguarding policy in place and parental involvement being achieved, this project stands a better chance of leading to active parental support in Blackpool. So, in order for this project to have any foundations, it is important that the parents or guardian we are attempting to engage with have the correct upbringing of their children. Parental involvement is described in 6 forms by Murray et al. As effective communication between home and school, good home environments and school learning, learning at home, supporting the school, involved in the school decision process, and actively working to strengthen their relationships with the child in school. Now, I know I mentioned school there, but this can be transferable to Blackpool community. If Blackpool community has a good relationship with the parents and the children, it means that it's going to be better for both parties. So, having parents and their children engaging in physical activity at the same time is a unique concept. Sanchez Miguel et al. Argued that children were more likely to be active if their parents were active too. Consequently, this leads to proven health benefits to both parents and children. This statement is supported by Warburton, who states that there is irrefutable evidence that shows physical activity helps the parents prevent the like of cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, depression, cancer, and even premature death. The significance of this is highly beneficial to Blackpool's health for its adult population. This was when a health summary review for Blackpool from Blackpool JSNA found that a serious number of health indicators were significantly worse than the England average compared to other places. These included cancer, suicide, cardiovascular deaths, obesity and diabetes. So it's good to make the link between the positive benefits of physical activity and the current state of Blackpool's health. It is important to make the link. Sorry, I just said that. Moving on to the next one. However, there are a number of barriers in place in which parents face when seeking to participate in physical activity. A recent study undertaken regarding the barriers to physical activity for working mothers and fathers helps explain some of these barriers. Maley et al. Found through a focus group and discussion that mothers and fathers both face the same barriers when it came to juggling parenthood and physical activity. These barriers included family responsibilities, lack of sport, guilt, work and scheduling constraints. Supported evidence from a separate study on the physical barriers for adults showed similarities to Maley's report. Zakira et al. Used a questionnaire to ask which barriers were faced. They cited barriers such as lack of time, cost, and lack of infrastructure. In a separate view, the motivations and positive aspects of physical activity were reported in a study on a female adult physical activity group. Goff and Kendall used focus groups to report on the motivations of female adults. These included combating stress, feeling alert, socialising, and maintaining good and social and physical health. It's clear to see through these studies that although barriers are a problem for parents, there seems to be some evidence that adults want to be involved in physical activity, which is a positive sign for this report. Additionally, looking into things more locally, Blackpool has its own personal barriers for its local adult population. Statistics from I Live Here offer some insight onto the current state of Blackpool's social, economic adult population. Blackpool's benefits and unemployment statistics show that 25% of the population are at any type of benefits. 5% of this comes from job seekers allowance, helping combat parents' possible unemployment. Helping them gain employment helping combat parents' possible unemployment, helping them gain employment is a very real possibility from Blackpool FC's Supporting this statement, Drannan found that physical activity increased work productivity and job performance, both good qualities for parents who are possibly out of work to acquire and transfer into their job searching efforts. So if we've got some kids that parents are unemployed, for example, them coming to our physical activity sessions might give them extra skills to look and go get employed. So statistics on education show that 31.3% of adults living in Blackpool boast no formal qualifications compared to 22.5% of the rest of England, and the lower rate of higher education qualifications was stated at 15%, whereas the rest of England were 27%. Blackpool FC can have a very real role to play in increasing numbers of parents who want to get better qualifications and a better standard of life. Physical activity can help improve performances in the classroom. This is supported by Harold et al., who suggested that physical activity may improve academic performance. This is from improved cognitive functions related to memory and attention. Moreover, the benefits of physical exercise for adults is stated by Feinstein et al., who suggested that education for adults resulted in positive changes in health behaviours and improvement to well-being. And finally, it is clear to see the different health benefits that physical activity will bring to parents and their children. There are, without a doubt, some barriers which both Blackpool FC and the parents will face. However, with such positive possible benefits from physical activity, it seems a no-brainer to look to get the parents involved.
So, looking at our methodology, the main part of our methodology was questionnaires. So I'm just going to talk about the advantages, disadvantages, limitations and why we used them. So the advantages, they are practical. If you use a question on a larger scale, whereas we only use 3 questions, lots of data can be collected. Results can be easily quantified. It's a very, very quick process and they are very, very easy to make. If we look at the disadvantage of a questionnaire, we found that BEASC 2011 said that they can be difficult to understand some people's responses because you don't know how people are feeling on your behalf. You can't tell if people are telling the truth. You can't tell what someone's thinking, and there's no way of knowing how much thought someone is put into their answer, and they also can lack validity. So looking at the limitations, they can be incorrectly filled in. They don't offer a research opportunity to follow up on any ideas. So if you want to ask a question about something that they're not sure about, you can't do that because it's a questionnaire and you just get handed back. And they are fixed choice questionnaires. So why did we use these questionnaires? They're an easy way to collect the data that we needed. We didn't have much time to work with, as it's only a second semester module, and making the questionnaire doesn't really take that much time to do. We only needed to ask 3 questions, and it was the quickest way to get the answers. And the parents were able to fill the questionnaires in on the spot. We didn't have to mess about or anything.
So now I'm going to go over the questionnaire and the results that we gained from this. So just behind Marcus there's an image of our questionnaire, and we have 3 questions on it. So the first question being, would they be interested in participating in a mini sports session while the child trains? And we had a simple yes or no answer. Then, following on from that first question, if they answered yes, then we gave them an option of some different sports and then the option of other at the bottom. So just in case there were sports that we didn't put on there that they may have been interested in, then just underneath that, if they answered no, we asked them the reasons for that, and then we can analyse that and then give them an option. And our second question was how much would they be willing to pay if the session was to go on. And then the final question is, would there be anything that Blackpool can support during this session? So the answers that we got back is, from the ones that we handed out, there was 16 in total that we got back, and 50% of the people that completed the questionnaire were actually women, 32% were men, and then 19% didn't actually mention a gender. So from the 81% of the people answered the questionnaire said yes. So this has been 13 people, and then 19 people said no, and they gave answers such as they would rather watch a child play sport, they had work commitments, and they had student with financial commitments. But that answer we go on later to analyse, and it could be a free session, so they could take part in it. So from the 81% of people that did say yes, they gave answers such as 3 people said football, 1 on the verge of walking football, 3 people said Zumba, 4 said boxercise, no one actually said quick cricket, and 3 people said badminton, and then from the 24% of people that ticked over, they gave sports such as 5-side football, tag rugby, and even a gym session. So for question 2, how much would they be willing to pay? We had people that answered more than once, different ones, and they come in they would rather have it free. 2 for 1 with a child's fee, up to £5, and then one person said up to £10. And then the final question is, would there be anything that Blackpool could do to help them? And then there's two answers that are pretty similar. It was thrown into it or no support. So, and then the last one, which was 2 people answered saying that there'd be kit and equipment. So the evaluation of these results. So for men, football was a common answer. And the significance of this is if their child is taking part in a football activity, then a 5-a-side pitch can be set up next to their child's game, so it'll be significant as they won't have to hire another venue out. So as we evaluated this, we would advise to Blackpool Community Trust to put a 5-a-side football pitch on next to the child's training session, so they can play. So the women, on the other hand, preferred the idea of boxercise. So the significance of boxercise is it can be done both indoors and outdoors. However, it does require equipment and possibly a qualified coach to teach it. Shaw, Scott and Floyd state that women sometimes can be constrained from taking part in sport outdoors because of concerns about body image and the fear that they're doing it wrong. So based on this research, I'd advise to Blackpool Community Trust they'd be advised to hire a sports hall out to do boxercise, so it's indoors. However, the limitations to this is that it can cost, and I will go on to the cost now. So we found that quite a lot of people were willing to pay up to £5 for the session. So this price can depend on what sports you put on, like 5-a-side. Like I said, you can use the same facility that if the kids are playing football, then you can use the same facilities as that. However, like I said, with boxercise, you need a coach. It can be done outdoors, but if you were to hire a venue, like Josh said, Blackpool Community Trust don't have their own venue, so they will need to hire somewhere like a sports hall. So we advise to Blackpool, if it's football that the session is, then maybe include it with a child's fee. So what you pay is included with theirs, and then for the boxercise maybe then charge £5 as we can see from this. People are willing to pay that money. But when we were handing these questionnaires out, we did get a lot of feedback saying that they would be interested in participating in this the week following from when we handed these out.
So I'm just going to talk to you about secondary research that we collected. So as Jones and Grattan suggest, secondary research generally uses the findings of existing works to develop new ideas for existing theory. So when looking at the advantages of secondary research, Keecolt and Nathan suggest that large amounts of data may already be collected. It requires less money. Official statistics may be especially useful for making comparisons over time. So when looking at the disadvantages, it can be difficult to understand some information. The information out there may not be specific to your needs, and it can also be a slow process. So the limitations of secondary research: the parts of the documents might be missing because of age. Official statistics may reflect the bias side of this power, limiting what you can find out and the way that things are measures can be changed over time. And why we decided to use secondary research was it was a simple way to collect data. It enabled us the opportunity to see what other community trusts in the local northwest area were doing, anything if they were. And overall research implies a careful and systematic means of solving problems, as Thomas and Nelson suggests. So we're looking at what other community projects do. We looked at Manchester City, Preston North End and Fleetwood. So first in Manchester City, we contacted Kay Bent, and she explained that they used football to promote increased educational access, engagement and progression for young people aged from 11 to 24. So projects are designed to engage and inspire young people by providing qualifications required to progress into further education and employment, which is similar to what Blackpool and the community do. In addition to football, however, coaches provide intensive education and health and nutrition advice to children and parents. So this is something that Blackpool may be interested in doing, is also, whilst running sessions up for parents, the nutrition side is also important. And K-Ben, we could contact them, Manchester City, to say, whilst they're doing nutrition, offering nutrition for parents, they might be interested in running sessions for parents too. And when looking at Preston North End and the community, I spoke to Mel Brown. She feels that if funding was available for clubs to promote and run the sessions, then several clubs will be keen in the North West area. She explained how the football club, however, already have goals in place for the next few years that they need to achieve, so it might not be something they want to do straight away, but once they've achieved them goals, it might be something they take into consideration. And they have education programmes already in place and other things similar to Blackpool, but they don't have anything for parents. And finally, Fleetwood, we spoke to Matt Chadwick, who's a casual coach at Fleetwood in the community. He believed it would be an interesting idea in running programmes for parents alongside children's sessions, as he knows as a casual coach that he sees the same parents who drop the kids off and go, and he also sees the same parents who always stand out in the cold watching, and they may be interested in doing something whilst their children are training. And one other thing is, at the sports arena at UCLan, they run cheaper gym options for parents when they drop off the kids at Preston North End Academy. So that'd be one thing, as Nathan said, one person did say they'd be interested in the gym. Obviously we'll have to take into consideration the facilities, but that's one thing that they do. So now Marcus will talk to you about some recommendations.
So after evaluating all the results that we got, we came up with 3 recommendations. So the first recommendation would be making sure that when Nathan touched on it before, it was when the event's taking place, the parents can do their session alongside the kids. This can also enhance participation levels, as it's not off the parent's schedule, they're watching the child while they're playing rather than watching. The second recommendation will be, before any activities are started, the parents could come down for that and a sort of open day to show demonstrations of what's going to happen during the event. And the third recommendation would be arrange a discussion with other communities to offer ideas, like Nathan, Josh just touched on then, like linking with Blackpool, linking with Fleetwood, Preston and Manchester City. So to conclude this presentation, we have provided an overview of the project / issue that we are involved with. We've talked about health considerations within Blackpool. We've talked about the barriers for the parents, primary and secondary research, both with advantages, disadvantages and limitations, and we have talked about the results and evaluation and give our recommendations. Thanks for watching.
We hope that you at Blackpool FC have gained some important insight from this presentation, and we hope to hear back from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.